welcome everyone. This is a little talk that I have been, that I set up, and it's with John White, who makes the Spooky2. And I have a few questions and a few things that I think you guys might be interested in. I keep talking about the Spooky2, and I really didn't have any experience with it. And so John's team contacted me and said, "You want to talk to John? Maybe you can learn a few things." And so I said, "Yeah." So welcome, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to say a couple things about your background, and I might have more questions because I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
So, John is a Rife researcher. For those of you who have heard about Royal Rife and his work, and he's, I think, started in New Zealand and is now living in Nanjing, China. So the background here for John is really interesting to me. Electrical engineering, physics, and computer sciences. And he's been researching and developing solutions to serious diseases since 2008. And actually, the work he's done is pretty impressive. John specializes in energy and scalar resonance healing. So you guys have heard me talk about frequency and energy all the time. He also has had his fingers in biofeedback and PEMF therapy. So, and has, like most of us in this field, has an insatiable desire for truth and knowledge, firsthand truth and knowledge, not secondhand. Like, what can you do with this? How can I play with this kind of thing? John has collaborated with global research groups to discover answers to health issues. And it sounds like, John, I'll let you talk about this. This is how you got started. Somebody got sick in your family. What happened?
Sure. When you're reading through these words, it's making me the sort of person who's totally unapproachable and a propeller head. But I'm the opposite. Okay, I'm a human, and I've got feelings.
I know. I experienced that myself.
Yeah. Yes, there are deaths in my family.
Yeah.
And I was in the position where I was totally helpless. I couldn't do anything to prevent what the doctors were saying were inevitable. And so, the family members passed on.
Why not?
Well, because I was still a child.
Oh, wow.
I was still at school. I was still going through the school system, which is which is not really applicable in everyday life, but nevertheless, this is what you're forced to go through. And so I'm a whiz at algebra and calculus and everything, but yeah.
Okay.
But I was helpless, but I was powerless to help a real life situation.
Wow.
It's nothing. I mean, there'd be other people. Most people would have experienced deaths in the family and the feeling of loss and the feeling of, gosh, what could I have done? But I didn't let go of that feeling. I didn't over time think, oh well,
Yeah.
And this is what I do find most people do. They find their comfort zones, and we left it to the doctors. The doctors said there was nothing we could do. And they went through, gave them the best treatment, and it didn't work. And the words like these, which are comforting to the soul, but not comforting when you want your loved ones back.
Yeah.
And so I didn't let go. And I mean, I was only 16, 18 for the 2 different years. And at that time I had, I started, shortly after that, I started an apprenticeship, electrical apprenticeship. And the journeyman, my boss, he was smart, but he was smart in life. And he helped me set my life's trajectory, early life trajectory. He taught me about hard work and how to really achieve goals. How to be tenacious, This is what they don't teach at school. They teach you memory. You've got to memorize things. If you remember things, then you pass. You get the big tick, and on you go, and you get your piece of paper saying you're smart.
I know.
But life skills, gosh, so many people. I mean, since then I've had businesses and I've employed people with diplomas, and this is as thick as you know. Yeah, but they're lacking in life skills and things which schools really should have instilled on them.
I know.
Yeah. Like when you leave school and you start a job and you start a life, what are you going to use half or more of what you've had pushed into you? It's just not useful. But some things are more useful. They don't teach any form of spirituality, whether it's through fear, fear of kickback from some parents. But in spirituality, it just means awareness. You know, what is truly right? What are the absolutes? And
not only that, it's what's the true spirit of that individual, or what's the true spirit of that machine, or of that animal, or that plant. We don't ever ask that.
No, we never ask. And if it can't be measured in a laboratory, it doesn't exist. So you and I don't have a soul, right? Because it can't be measured. It can't be observed. Yeah, absolute hogwash. Absolute. Yeah. But this is what, with these things which are churning in my mind, and I decided, no, I am going to, for the rest of my time on earth, while I'm above ground, I'm going to do all I can to find answers that could have saved my loved ones and will save other loved ones. Yeah. And I've held steadfast to that. It's not that I'm a saint; it's just that I'm stubborn.
Oh, I know all about that.
but what I found, I didn't really envision a time now. But then I was thinking I was going to fight this battle alone. But now I'm surrounded. Fight the battle alone. Oh. You know, just to do whatever it needs to find solutions. But now I'm surrounded by like-minded people. I didn't realize there's so many beautiful people out there. And so now Spooky is a huge team, and Spooky customers provide feedback and actively help make Spooky grow.
That's right.
Just because we're large now doesn't mean we're sort of a faceless, earless company that doesn't want to, there's no human face to us. And we have board meetings and share market holdings and things. No. You know, our focus is always purely on the customers, purely on the charity work that we do, things that will make a change in the world. But because now I'm surrounded by so many fantastic people with greater abilities than myself, we are really moving forwards fast.
Oh, nice. You know, I was trying to remember today, when was the first time I heard about the Spooky? And it was quite a long time ago. I'm going to say at least 10 years ago, maybe a little more.
Yes.
And
I think 11 years. So you're right on the button there. Well, Spooky, I launched Spooky about 11 years ago, but the technology, developing the technology was much earlier than that.
Okay.
Yes, we've been selling Spooky products for about 11 years now.
Wow. Well, I had a friend who was actually a client who kind of became a friend in Texas, and he had bipolar disorder pretty badly. Yes. And his brother he had an older brother, a couple years older, who was a doctor, and he had done everything that he could with the medical system. And then he happened upon a Spooky. I don't think it was called Spooky2. It was Spooky. And
you've got a good memory.
One day he called me on the phone. He said, "Look, you've got to get one of these machines. I have absolutely, finally cured my, he called it manic depressive disorder." And I was like, "What?" And he told me this whole story. that he was so excited. So then I didn't hear from him for a little bit. And then the next time I heard from him, he was in, I think, Santa Fe, New Mexico, or somewhere that way. And he had rented a storefront. He had purchased one or two Spookies and was getting ready to do a few more. He had gotten some money from somewhere. And he was advertising what the Spooky would do. And he walked out of that storefront one day. He was immediately surrounded by two men in black suits and dark glasses. And they told him, "Keep walking, my friend." And
Really?
they talked while he walked. And he said, they told him, "You are not going to open any such clinic. You are not going to introduce this technology here. You are not, you're not. And we have cleaned out your bank account. And if you try to do anything, you're dead."
Yeah.
And so he was devastated. And so we were like, "Oh, wow. Okay, this must be really powerful medicine. This must be a really powerful technology." And I kind of knew and understood what it was, about frequencies, because I was working in the lab with Dr. William Levengood, and we were working on plasma physics type things, charge density plasmas and things like that. And my attitude at that point was, okay, we'll lay low for a minute. That's it. We'll lay low for a minute. And so, I did. I don't know what happened to my friend. He was devastated, and he was flat broke again.
Yeah.
So here we are now in 10 years. And this medicine it's done a 180. I think the people out there that would like to get in the way, or who used to want to get in the way, I don't know if they have given up, or if they have just decided it's too big a wave, or they can't keep it under wraps, or what. But I love the fact that there are options, that people are coming up with these, and the Spooky has gone from Spooky to Spooky2. So that says to me that there's been some new engineering that happened. So what is the difference between Spooky and Spooky2? What happened in there?
Well, when we had Spooky, when we were just Spooky, the hardware was quite primitive. We improved the generator and the remote system for remotely transmitting frequencies.
Okay.
And at that point, we changed to Spooky2, because it was quite a paradigm shift between the Corolla blue generators and the new ones. Yeah. So it was quite a large shift. Now, with regards to you thinking that there isn't so much pushback against natural health, there is, but they've become more smart. Their approach isn't now so much physical, so much as legal, and it's very, very strong still, very strong. If you, sure, if you look on YouTube, for example, which is one of the mainstream video hosting sites, you will find hardly anything to do with frequency healing, because it's been removed. Whole channels have been just wiped, and just without announcement, just gone. So people that are searching don't know there was something there. All they see is, some video saying frequency treatments are rubbish, they don't work, and this and that.
Okay. All right.
But it's actually, scientifically, it's impossible to it's impossible to prove that something doesn't work. It's easier to prove something does work than it doesn't, because to prove it doesn't means you've got to try all options.
Yeah.
But yet you get these, I read these experts blogs where they say, these people have been ridiculed and it's been proven that doesn't work, and this. And the sad thing is, it's turning people away. Yeah. It's giving what really, really works well, as you've mentioned, a bad name, which is truly sad. And so that's the battle now. It's more of a legal sense where I'm told there's some things I cannot say in certain areas.
Oh,
We have got to be very select in the words that we use on our websites. We've got to tippy-toe everywhere now.
oh wow.
So
Okay.
now with the visit from the Men in Black, sure, I got a visit. I got a visit too,
Oh,
and it was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
why?
I am a New Zealander. I was living in New Zealand at that time. That visit provided the impetus for me to move to a different country.
Oh, I was
And
wondering why you were in China.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, China's home. I mean, if I'd gone to Norway, Norway would be my home. And, Norway's a beautiful place too. A little bit chilly, but still
Little,
beautiful. Home is where you park yourself and where you feel happy.
that's
And
true.
in China, I've now started a family. I'm settled down. So
Oh,
yeah, it's
all
my
right,
it's my home.
very nice.
It's
Oh,
my
I am, every time I stop to think about or study or read about or do a little more research into frequency healing, I'm more stunned, more excited than I was before. It just keeps on becoming more and more astounding, I guess is the best way to say it.
oh, yeah, it is an amazing method of treatment. Um,
Huh,
but even mainstream medicine uses frequency medicine, even though it's not promoted.
not quite.
Drugs. I'll say it'll be a little bit technical, but it's how it is. I'll try and make it as simple as possible. Drugs actually use frequencies for healing.
Mhm.
They work on the molecular level. The free electron energy of the molecules within the drugs matches the amino chains that are in the protein. And so they latch on, and then they have their biological effect. And so it's all to do with energy and frequency, still, even with tablets.
That's true. I have said to people very often, when you eat food, what you're trying to get is the frequency of whatever minerals and vitamins and aminos are in that food. It's
That's right.
food, it's the frequencies. And then you have all this waste that that doesn't have any frequency in it. Your body gets rid of that and just uses that frequency to restore its own balance and resonance. You get out of tune, you need to be back in tune quickly, or things will spiral, in a bad way quickly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Frequency is everything, frequency and energy.
Yeah.
And if you look through an ultra powerful microscope that doesn't exist yet, all you'd see is basically energy and waves and frequencies.
You know what? That's
That's
true.
really cool.
I see that stuff literally with my own eyes,
Wow.
just because of my own set of skills. But it's really hard to convey that to other people. And when they have grown up believing that they are material, it's really, you say the same thing again and again, and they still are like, what? Their primary focus is on changing the matter, not the energy. So we've got some things that I think big paradigm changes that are coming.
Right. A closed box doesn't let in light. What I've learned over the years is not to waste too much energy on the people that are fixated on something's material. This is something,
Right.
but it's not. It's mostly nothing, and just a bit of something.
I know.
And so I don't waste. I don't.
Go ahead.
And so I don't. And so I don't waste too much effort and time on people like that. But for people that give a response of like, really, like that they showed us a smidgen of interest, then I'd elaborate and give examples and maybe give them references for papers that show that it is actually the way it is.
Yeah, there you go. And then you don't waste energy on something that doesn't go anywhere.
That's right. It's just throwing good energy into a vacuum, which just disappears.
Yeah.
And I've got I even some friends I know not to spend too much effort just talking about things because it's just going to go nowhere.
I know. I'm so familiar with that. So, so is there anything new or anything you would like to say about how the spooky actually works? I mean, I know how it works, but somebody out there might not, somebody who's listening.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, for people that don't know, like both Penny and myself, we've talked about Spooky. Spooky is the company that I formed, and now it's Spooky2. We sell frequency products for healing. Now, there's nothing new so far because a lot of companies sell devices that also use frequencies for healing. I guess for things that set us apart is that we don't focus on the profit side, we focus on the humanity side. And any profits that we do make either go into further research or get thrown back into charity work for people that are less fortunate than ourselves. I don't want this to be like a promotional thing. I don't want to say that our products are better and this and that. They are, but I don't want it to really. I'm not a salesperson. I'm purely technical. So I can tell you, the sort of products that we have and all the rest of it. But I don't want people to start thinking that I'm pushing something.
well,
I'm not.
Talk about that a little bit. If I were a beginner and I was looking to figure out some way to do healing without surgery or maybe even with that, but to speed up the healing, what is the best all around spooky tool to have?
Probably our contact, just get the cheapest kit we make. So you can tell I'm not a salesperson. I'd have told you to go for the most expensive. But go for the cheapest one because it gets your foot in the door. It gets you used to using the software, choosing programs, and using the generator at least. Because that kit has got a contact mode. And contact mode is a very, very good way of sending frequencies right through your body. It's a very, very old way of sending frequencies through your body. It's been used for decades, connecting yourself up to some form of frequency generator, at least since the 1940s.
Wow.
So that's, a few decades. And it works, it's good. The other end of the scale has got our two heavyweights, which is our plasma machine, which sends frequencies non-contact. So it's got a plasma tube to send the frequencies to your body. And also our scalar device. The way to choose between the plasma or the scalar, think of the plasma machine like a boxing, a champion boxer. It can only hurt, it can't heal. It's not gentle. Oh. If you've got pathogens in your body that you want gone, that's the unit you want to buy. If you've got some disease that you really want to give the boot, you need freeloaders in your body.
Freeloaders, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But if you want to heal yourself, introduce nourishment and energy, then you go for our scalar device.
Oh, okay. All right. Say more about that.
The scalar device, we are exceptionally proud of that. We've done things which no one else really does. You can apply scalar. Well, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Okay, Penny. Scalar physically is two black boxes that you sit between. The black boxes can be either side of the house. So you don't need to make the house look ugly with the equipment lying around. You can have it diagonally going through. So everyone in the house is getting the healing scalar field passing through them. The good thing, well, there's lots of good things, but one of the amazing things about scalar is it's not just a transmission field, it's also an information field. I'll explain that a little bit further.
Yeah.
you can place a drug or a healing device, a healing substance, essential oil, perhaps, even or anything, vitamin C, on the receiver coil, and the information of the molecules is sent through the scalar field.
Oh, wow.
Now the experts, of course, came piling in, the trolls that would have been the men in black. Now they're men in black behind keyboards, and they said it's not possible. And this, well, a researcher in Florida, he's got a CBD farm, and he took a glass of water and placed it on one side of the house. On the other side, he placed some dissolved CBD oil, dissolved in some alcohol, and put that on the other coil. The information of the CBD transferred to the water. The water was subsequently put through a chromatography machine, a gas chromatography machine, and they detected peaks of CBD oil in there. And that had never been anywhere near that oil. So the information of the oil was transferred to that water.
Yeah.
And so that covers one part of the uses of scalar. You can use it for imprinting into water. But you can also put it directly into your body by being within the scalar field.
OMG. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's an amazing device. Actually, as luck would have it or not have it, there's a similar device which is made by a gentleman in Germany, and we were unaware at the time, but he got quite upset. His device sells for something like 3 times the price of our machine.
Oh.
And we presumably he got upset because we sort of, destroyed his business model. Yeah. So he threatened us with legal action and all the rest of it. And we explained to him that our machine was based on a patent that was done by Nikola Tesla before the 1900s. So I think that patent's expired now.
Yeah.
And so it's free for all. Now, Tesla was he was interested more in the energy transfer part of scalar, but we're more interested in the medicinal side.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if I had a glass of water on one side of the house and I put a carrot, a tomato, a piece of chicken, some salad, some green, a bunch of stuff on the other coil, would it put all those frequencies in?
Yes.
Oh my.
So the benefits, yeah. Yeah, the benefits of all those foods. It won't taste like carrot, chicken, whatever.
No, but it would have the frequencies.
Yes. A researcher, I'm struggling to think of his name. He died just before I planned to contact him. He died a month earlier. He was a researcher who transmitted frequencies. He was amazing. He recorded frequencies of DNA, dissolved DNA. He recorded them onto a memory stick, and then he sent the memory stick to a university from I think he was, was he German? The Germans do good research, but I think it was from Germany to Italy. And in Italy, they played the MP3 to some water through a coil. It wasn't audio, a magnetic coil, so there was magnetic frequency imprinting.
Yeah.
And then they did a test on the water, and it contained the spikes of the DNA, which was from the source. So you can't get more remote from a different country. They'd never seen each other before, It's just a memory stick that was sent in the mail. But and this was proven. This is absolutely true. The person who did it, I do know, I wish I could remember his name, is a Nobel Prize winner. So he's not a clown.
Okay.
And he retired, and then he continued his research. What a shame.
There was a guy from Russia named Dr. Yuri Kronn, Kronn, and he was putting frequencies, is putting frequencies in different substances that he then sells for medicinal purposes. And we tested some of his things in the lab, and wow, they had extraordinary energies, way more than the original
Sure.
water he started with. So I think that that is the coming system, is not only to take out the bad stuff that's in the body, the pathogens, the tumors, the parasites, the whatever, and then to add in the frequencies that the body needs to build itself, to rebuild. The nourishing, nutrition, over and over and over. So,
yeah. Well, I'm a fan of nutrition. No body wants to be sick. And so we've got our innate mechanisms to try and keep the bad guys at bay. They only get a foothold when our energy levels are low. Like if you're working extra late and getting tired, then our immune system drops its energy, and then you find yourself sick the next day. I mean, it happens so often.
yeah.
And so we just need to provide, well, we don't need to, I mean, it's not the only thing that we can do, but certainly while you're healthy, the focus should be on nutrition, not on, drugs and other, unnatural ways of maintaining health.
Yeah, those ways create more destruction than they cure. They ruin more things than they fix. Yeah,
that's right. And different people, different things work. Like for myself, I know that if I'm feeling low energy and I feel that I'm getting a flu, I'd go for a bike ride and I'll come back and it's gone.
Yeah.
For me, a bike ride is very health giving because I so thoroughly love it. I'm in paradise, just me and those wheels, and
okay.
that works for me. For someone else, it might be origami or something, but something where you're in a place of bliss, in a zone of bliss, I should say. That is very healthy as well, very health giving.
Yeah. So I have another question.
Sure.
Why? Let's say that you have a substance. Let's say you have a virus and it's causing havoc in the body. Why does hitting that virus with its own frequency not strengthen that virus? Why does it destroy it instead?
It's actually a good point you make. If you give a random frequency, it will strengthen the virus. But if you send a frequency that is the resonant frequency for damaging the virus, any energy level of that frequency will cause damage. Now, thrown in a curveball, and people might be wondering, what is this word resonance? Do you think you think I should?
Yeah,
explain?
Go ahead. I know what that is, but go ahead and talk about that.
Everything has got a natural resonance. If you tap a glass, you'll hear a tone come back, and that tone is the natural resonance frequency of that glass. If you place a speaker next to that glass and play back that very same tone, that glass will eventually break. It'll absorb the energy but not release it, and so it absorbs so much it becomes overwhelmed. And
hold on. So are you saying that there's a frequency range, and one end of that frequency range will strengthen the virus and the other will destroy it? Do I have that correct?
No. Oh, well. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Well, no, I'll just go back a couple of steps.
Okay.
The frequencies that Spooky2 has are very precise. What they do is for a bacteria which has DNA or RNA, it breaks that RNA and makes it so that it can no longer replicate.
Okay.
But if you apply a random frequency like 60 hertz mains or higher, then there is a chance that the bacteria will absorb the energy and use it.
Okay.
It's why people don't have much luck with using frequency sweeps when the frequency slowly changes over a range. Because most of the time the frequency is off. It's only at a certain point it hits it. But when it hits it, if it doesn't stay there long enough and kill it, it'll just have helped it for the other times.
Oops. Okay.
But that's an oversimplification. There's other ways of applying sweeps, but that's generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, you triggered like 6 other questions, but.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I want to ask next? And I can't think of any of the questions that were coming. So let me ask this: so if let's go back to the glass thing. You run your finger around the glass, and you have some kind of recorder thing that picks up the resonant frequency of that sound. You feed it back into the glass enough, and the glass breaks. Is it because that glass can only hold a certain quantity of energy, and if you have too much, it's going to blow it up?
Absolutely. If you have a high-speed camera showing the glass, it will start deforming, and those deformations get greater and greater. Now, most people know that glass can only bend so far.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with biological structures as well. There's only so much that they can deform before they too succumb.
You know what? I was just thinking that's the glass is having a Kundalini moment. More energy into that glass, and the form is too rigid. And that is why some people burst into flame and blow up, and burn up from the inside out when there's too much energy goes into the system. You have to be able to release as well as take in. So, okay. Just a little aside there.
Yeah. Now, none of the people that have burst into flames have used Spooky2 devices.
No.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay.
But, that spontaneous combustion, it's real. But they've never really found out, the scientists, the narrow-minded, have never really found a cause. Yeah.
Well, when you try to push a huge amount of frequency through a system, which is what a Kundalini experience is, that's what I experienced, and it does blow you apart, and it does blow your mind. It changes you from the core outward forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let's talk about, I think it would be nice for you to explain scalar energy. Most people kind of know what sine waves are.
Yes.
So talk about scalar frequencies. And why, that's another question, why don't you need a carrier wave? So maybe talk about what is a carrier wave and why most people use it. Why don't you need it?
Okay. A combo question.
Okay. So what is scalar? Scalar resonance.
Okay. Well, even with scalar, you do need, in a way, a carrier wave. In a way, in a sense. Our scalar devices need to be tuned to create this carrier.
Okay.
But your question forks out, which makes it very hard to answer. Normal use of carrier waves is transmission, albeit radio or TV or Wi-Fi or things like that. A carrier wave is necessary then for two reasons. The first reason is the voltages at the aerial, the transmission, the voltages have to be high voltage. But many of these devices powered by 6 volt or even less. Cell phones are an example of a low-power device, yet they transmit. So they do need to have a carrier. With a carrier, you can create resonance in the device. One thing that resonance can do is increase voltage. And so they use resonance to increase the voltage.
Oh.
And it's only with the high voltage that you can transmit using a wire.
Okay.
Now, the little side fork, which is a cul-de-sac, a dead end, but I'll go there anyway.
Okay.
But I'll come spinning back. Our plasma device doesn't use a carrier because it uses a more advanced way of creating the high voltage. Because if you're applying a high voltage at the same frequency all the time, your body's going to be fatigued and you can cause damage.
Right.
And so this is why right from the onset I said, no, if we're unsuccessful in engineering it, so be it. But our plasma is not going to have the need for a carrier.
Wow.
So that's the little cul-de-sac. Okay, I've come back. Scalar does have a carrier of sorts. The carrier is tuning the scalar to the environment, to the ether, to everything that's between the two boxes. Because with scalar, even the air and every molecule between the boxes is part of the circuit. And it's a closed circuit. It's a loop.
Okay.
So to set that up, we tune it. But the tuning value change will be different from one place to another because the environment is different. Different air, everything that's between the boxes is will be within the scalar field. So they too will become part of the circuit. And so they will be changing, contributing to the change in this carrier frequency.
Okay. And I think I would just add for people at home, I saw a picture of one of these boxes on one side of the room and the other box on the other side of the room. And then there were two massage tables set up in between these two boxes, and two people were stretched out, on the boxes. And they were obviously having, I called it a scalar bath, and some kind of healing was going on. And so that's a picture of what we're talking about in terms of these scalar waves and plasma, et cetera, being used to heal. And I have a friend who insists that you can't do anything without a carrier wave. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they're half right, Penny. You can't do without not a carrier wave, but without the high frequencies the high voltages to transmit. Because I think they're fixated on the engineering side, but this is engineering of old, not the engineering of new.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is possible to create high voltages without a carrier wave because we've been doing it for 6 or 7 years or however long we've been doing it.
I get that. That to me is amazing. Okay. So talk a little bit about some of the successes that you've had with Spooky2, things that people have used it for. Do you know of any of those stories?
Oh, sure. We used to have a Spooky2reviews.com website. We might still have it, but we've been forced to remove almost all the testimonials because these are too big. But in the legal sense, they came to us.
Okay.
So because they're behind keyboards now.
Yeah.
So, but we've had no end of success stories. I really don't know where to start. Well, I'll start from the very first then. A South African woman with breast cancer came to me for help. It's even way before Spooky, but it's using the same principles. And I used a plasma machine with her. In those times, I was running a cancer clinic covertly in the basement of a high-rise.
Oops.
But that's actually just before moving to China. That's why they found me.
Oops. Okay.
But I had it nicely set up. I had all the equipment there, and the patient would just sit down. The visitor would sit down on the comfortable chair, and they just have the plasma tube nearby. And after half an hour, that's it. And after a few sessions, her tumor was no longer detectable.
Oh.
That's probably the first one, because she was one of my first visitors at that clinic. But there's so many. Even our scalar device, whilst we were developing it, one of our friends contacted us, and she said that she had tumorous lumps in her breast, and can she have? Oh, she heard, because we're friends, she heard that we'd developed a scalar machine, and we said yes, but we're going to take it to America in a couple of weeks' time for a conference. And she says, please, 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 and of course, you can't say no. So we lent it to her, and we had to then quickly make up another unit for the conference, because it was just a prototype. It wasn't a production unit.
Oh.
And then just before the first conference, she texted us, and we burst into tears. The tumor had shrunk to the size of maybe a quarter of a pea from a golf ball,
Oh.
And she had, not only did she say this in words, but she showed it in pictures right from the very start, with the tumor being there. Then she's had some treatments and it didn't go down, and then she started scalar, and it just went down to virtually nothing.
Oh, wow.
We were so pleased. So we quickly redid our PowerPoint to include her results and show this on our first conference. So that was really touching, and she was a friend, so that was really, really touching. But we've had so many people that have sent in photographs proving X-rays showing that something's gone, something's improved markedly, and it's purely due to our products. We can sell our products for much more. We know that, but our payback is getting these testimonials and knowing that we are making the impact that humanity needs.
Oh,
There has to be at least one company that says, "Hang on a minute, this isn't right. Let's make a change," and they do it and they stick to it.
Yeah.
So it's a gentle reminder. It's not easy developing machines and doing the hard yards. This is a gentle reminder of why we're doing it. This is our reward. These emails, these thank you for what you're doing. This is what it's done for me.
Yeah.
Now I'm telling all my friends, and I'm recommending they get Spooky as well. I mean, it's good. It's good. It means that we can throw more towards charity work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness knows. I don't know what your views are. We talked a little bit about it before you pressed the red record button.
Yeah.
But the way that the world's going now, it's. I think you're talking more about the medicine side, but in the humanity side, I think it's really going downhill, really going down the gurgler.
Yeah.
All news is bad news now. Globally, things are just a mess.
I know.
None of it would happen if people lost the sense of self, realize that we are all in it together. We are one entity, and we have to love. If we weren't greedy, if we didn't have the desire to have the resources of a country, or the desire to become big and powerful, if we lost all self and all ego, the world would be a much greater, much better place. But you've got to be careful all the time, just on a personal level. Like now, Spooky2 is huge, and I guess people might think I'm starting to suffer from ego as well, but I'm not. Absolutely not. I started it, but now Spooky2 is everyone that's bought a Spooky2 device. So Penny, you are a part of Spooky. And we've got to keep in mind, always remind ourselves, we are little, doing big things, but we are little. Don't let ego get a foothold. Don't let any bit of badness get into us.
Yeah.
You know, keep our goals in sight and keep on, step by step going towards them. Gosh, it's a mess. Wars erupting in places where it's just crazy, just absolutely crazy.
Well, I have an idea. I mean, how about making a Spooky2 frequency that we could focus on the planet and just transform everybody?
That's been done. On the Spooky2 forum, we did this. Yes, it was before the COVID times where, or it might have been just at the very start of COVID, we were praying for world peace. And we got a huge group together because the Spooky2 forum, it's got thousands of people there. And it surprised me, it pleasantly surprised me how many people just came on board. Like, what is there to lose? Nothing to lose and everything to gain.
That's right.
Even people that are non-believers, everyone, just do it. It's not a religion thing. What is praying? Praying is wishing goodness and thanking. It doesn't necessarily have to be religion.
I know.
Oh my God. Because as soon as you start mentioning, bring religion into it, then you get the arguments and then you get the wars.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I keep thinking that we're coming into a time, we're making the shift to energy medicine. And as we do that, we're beginning to understand how consciousness works, because consciousness is frequency. And slowly but surely, we're transitioning to a different kind of world. I think there'll be a better world. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it'll be more fourth dimensional than what we've had.
I'm picking that you are an optimist by nature, and I admire you for that.
You said something at the beginning. You said it, you were stubborn, and my instant thought was, so am I. I'm also positively hopeful for a good change. More and more people are realizing that the people that are setting the restraints to us were voted by us. I know.
And people need
to... That's the story. That's what we're told. I'm not sure that we've got anybody we voted for, but that is the story. So.
Yes, we've got to take back control.
Yeah.
We need to return normalcy back, bring humanity back to humanity.
I would say we want to bring humanity forward to the new human, the new world, a new way of living and being, a new way of being together, a new kind of education that educates the person, each individual, about how they operate. And that's, new kinds of self-governance. We've been the first form of self-governance that, that the planet has seen in the U.S. We were the first ones to say, we'll govern ourselves. Thank you. We don't need a king. Well, here we are.
You got a king.
Pretty much. But what I see happening is that the transition to the next form, I'll call it a form of self-governance, isn't looking anything like what we've got. And I think people will mourn. Is there anything in the spooky for mourning? Crying, for depression, for sorrow, for regret?
Oh, absolutely. There are programs for depression and sorrow.
Okay.
But there are. But I also believe that a lot of problems are from within. A lot of to grow, sometimes you've got to forget. You've got to learn to forget and learn to empty yourself.
Yep.
Because a full vessel will not take anything else. If my cup was full, I can't put any more water in there.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're so full of garbage from our formal education that we find it difficult to go to our pure nature.
I know. And that nature is so beautiful. It makes me cry. It's absolutely stunning. And you see it in little children. And then we get a hold of them. And then it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see for like the future of medicine, of healing, of spooky? What do you see for all of that? How's that appear? What would you like to see?
What I've seen so far is a slow movement towards alternatives to the allopathic methods of healing. If you can,
right?
Medical healing center. It's sort of like a oxymoron. But anyway,
well, wait a minute. Now, somebody I was just talking to, and I can't remember who, said that in their city, they were building a new medical center. And that medical center was a holistic, natural, all things combined, allopathic, natural, everything in between.
It's fine.
It's coming. Great. It's coming slowly.
It doesn't need to be a fight between the two different, between systems. I mean, acupuncture, great. Cupping, great. A lot of things.
Yeah. So I interrupted you. So keep going with what your vision is, or Spooky. The medical system.
My vision is to is a shift to what you've just described. Actually, you've taken the wind out of my sails. A combining where people once again, finally, after 2 or 3 generations, have a choice. If someone wants to take drugs, then they can do it, or they can.
Yeah.
But currently, it's so heavily restricted. The other methods that they don't have the option. But I can see more and more people pushing towards this, and when they don't get it because of constraints. In fact, New Zealand are making it harder and harder for people to go down natural healing paths, because you can't buy supplements now, or the supplements you buy from the big brands that charge an arm and a leg and more, per bottle. It's just crazy. In China, I buy compounds by the kilo, and I make my own capsules and distribute amongst. I know this is because it's the freedom. They're not so tight here. China is actually more open than what most people realize. I can buy. I bought 10 liters of iodine as an example, and it cost virtually nothing. While I was in New Zealand, I wanted to buy some iodine. I wanted to buy 5% because that's what I've been using it, and now dilute 50-50. And the pharmacist says no. First of all, the percentage is too high. And secondly, they're prohibited to sell without authorization forms. And I asked why. And they said because it's used for drug manufacturing.
Oh.
So because some bad eggs are using iodine for nefarious reasons, me, Mr. Good Person, is wanting to make a mouth rinse for me and my friends and elsewhere. I do it for free, but I just wanted to. I'd gone to New Zealand and thought, I'll just buy some iodine and continue my regime. Couldn't do it. And it's not just that, but they're regulating what plants you can grow, what. If they're not restricting it, they're outpricing it. What's an example? A lysozyme. It's an enzyme that's present in mother's milk and tears. It's a natural enzyme. It's probably the best antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammation, anti-pain enzyme there is that's natural in our bodies through our diet. Egg white is one of the most the best sources for natural ways. You can't buy it in New Zealand, or you can, but it's $300 per gram.
Oh, wow.
But for $300, I could buy like 20 kilos here. I just they've got a online purchasing system. I buzz the factory. I say, it'll be 25 kilos actually, because they sell it in the drums. Can you throw me a drum? And then and that's it. And later on, I get a big drum. But you can't. Most Western countries are like New Zealand. They either legally prevent the sale or they outprice it, so it's just ridiculous. And these capsules that do have lysozyme for, they have 30 milligrams per tablet. You need to have 136 according to all these studies that have been performed. So people take these tablets thinking that, they are taking it, but it's such a small dose. It's almost like a homeopathic dose. It's not going to do any good for your body, right, or any noticeable good.
Yeah.
And they know it, but still, it's money in the pocket.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
It's just wrong. But you ask me, what do I see in the future? I see in the future more and more people watch interviews like this where someone says it and then they look around and, gosh, it is lysozyme. I spell it Lysozyme. Do a Google or whatever you do, or look on Amazon, AliExpress, and you'll see the prices. Now, that powder at 99.9% purity is something like $15 a kilo here in China. Now, keep that in mind when you look at the prices, because then you'll know just where the money's going, and it's to me it's a crime. I think it's okay for really business to charge, but not so much. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I know there's a whole lot of that kind of imbalance in a lot of areas. I ran into that when I put my protocol out there for the liver flush, and people wrote immediately from other countries, we can't get this, we can't get that, we can't do it. I'm like, why not?
Yeah, I know.
And it's against the law to ship it. It's like, what?
Yep.
So,
I can't ship any. I make my own capsules, but I can't ship it.
Yeah, right. Ditto.
I mean, I don't want to become a factory, because it's not much fun making capsules, but I make it for myself, But
yeah.
But more and more people will become to know, will hear these words, and then they'll look for themselves, and it's proof positive that the prices are just crazy. So I'm hoping that there will be a shift there, where the restraints are loosened at least a little bit, let a few of the goodness through.
Yeah. What about what do you see for the future of remote healing? I think that is one of the most useful, most powerful ways to work with. Like, if your kids live halfway around the world and you want to, send them some good energy. Right. Wow, that makes a big difference. So,
remote healing, it's some viewers may not know what we're talking about, so I'll just quickly explain what it is.
Okay, good.
In part of the Spooky2 system, we have an option for remote healing, where you connect a little thing onto a frequency generator, and you put the recipient's DNA inside this little black box. Whatever frequency you send to that little black box is received by every cell in the recipient's body.
Amazing.
And it does work. It really does work. Of course, a lot of people will poo-poo it and stuff, but the Russian government, I mean, that's sort of like a not nice thing to say, to mention Russia, but nevertheless, the science side of it, they use it for their astronauts.
That was where I was first introduced to frequency healing, was from a Russian tool that was used for the astronauts that a friend of mine got a hold of and said, here, try this. I was like, whoa, where are the rest of these for us here in America? No, sorry. Yeah.
So this is, and I truly believe that remote, of all our devices, remotes are by far the most convenient.
Yep.
You can even do it on yourself while you're going on holiday. Just by remote control, log onto your computer and then
That's right.
change your program, or you set a terrain protocol which flushes out all the toxins and poisons and parasites and heavy metals and everything over an 11-day period while you're going on holiday. And so when you come back, you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and what other question?
Yeah. So in terms of, like, if somebody gets a Spooky2, buys a Spooky2, and they want to use it, how long should they use it? Let's say they have the flu, or maybe they have depression, or maybe have an infection in their leg. Do you use it the same for each one of those, or is it different, or are there guidelines? What do you do?
They're all different, and there are guidelines, but the best guideline is this. You will know how you feel. If you have a headache, then obviously you're not. It's basically listening to your body.
Yeah.
When you're running frequencies and then your symptoms subside,
right,
then you can stop, or you might continue for another day or so. But you don't have to keep on doing it. It's just getting something gone. And once it's gone, it can't be more gone than gone. Some things you do have to continue a little bit longer, like hepatitis C and some other infections. But most times, once it's gone, you just leave it going for a little bit longer, just to be sure. So that's the Irish side of me, and then you stop it.
Can you get any effect for diabetes, or for dementia, or
we have
codes for those?
Absolutely. It was basically, if you look through our database, pretty much everything you can imagine is on there. Everything. Like it's very, very comprehensive.
Okay.
And so you select the program, press the green to go. Actually, it's not green, but you press the go button and then you're away.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just let it do its work. If you're running it, we have programs and we also have presets.
Okay, yeah, okay.
If you choose a preset, all the work's been done for you, all the setting up, waveforms and voltages and everything you don't want to know, it's done. So you choose a preset for detoxification or preset for headache or depression, and then you just press go. You don't need to do anything else. If you can choose a preset for something, and then you can add programs to that preset. Let's say you choose depression, but you think, I think maybe I've got a bit of a sore tooth as well, so I'll just sneak in another program. So you just double tap on that program for your sore tooth or tooth decay or teeth carry, and then you then run the preset. So it's very, very easy to use. If you don't have to dive down deeper. Because Spooky2 is quite a mature system, there are advanced options, but you don't need to go there. You don't need it.
Okay. So what if somebody has a big infection and they kill that off, or they're going after parasites? Do you recommend some kind of detox to help them clean out the garbage and the debris left over from the dead parasites?
Yes. Well, debris has to be removed from the body, and so your toxin removal organs have to work hard. So we recommend actually before treatment, Penny, to run a detox protocol.
Oh, okay.
That's that terrain that I mentioned before. Terrain meaning the environment, which is your body.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the nasty things that will prevent your body from healing. If you don't run the terrain first, but you go straight into the problem zone, the treatment will not work so well because the heavy metals prevent the frequencies from doing their job, and your toxin removal organs will be working overtime to try and remove it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love that. That's really smart.
The good thing about Spooky is this, the best thing is this, the person who has the spooky is empowered. They can do whatever they want for themselves and for their loved ones. Even their not so loved ones, they can help. And I'll give a first-hand example, a very, very recent one. I was riding on my bicycle in paradise once again, and one thing China's not known for is its high level of its high standard of drivers. Drivers aren't so highly trained as one might be in other countries.
Oh.
And so I was riding my bike through an intersection. A car stopped to give way to me. Now, this is quite unusual. So I lifted off my hand to wave to them because it's hardwired into me to give thanks to people that helped me. And I lost control over my bike. I did cartwheels in the air and I smashed into a barrier, a hard barrier.
Oh, wow.
I broke 2 ribs, my nose, massive swelling on the side of my face and on the side of my body. Became semi-conscious in the car on the way to the hospital. I was apparently insisting not to go to hospital because I've just got an internal hatred, I guess. I shouldn't say that word, but a strong dislike for hospitals in general. It's a place where you get sick. And so even semi-conscious, I was saying, no, I'm not going. I just want to go home and sleep. But I got scanned. I had 2 broken ribs and those was all confirmed. 2 weeks later, we went to New Zealand on a holiday to visit family. My parents are getting old. And I was basically healed.
Okay.
That was 1 month ago. I returned a week ago. And 1 month ago, and this is me with 2 broken ribs, broken nose. This is thanks to Spooky and the healing powers of Spooky. I was, in fact, 1 week fine. I had the orange face from the bruising going away and orange down the side. But I was so much better. 2 weeks, I went to New Zealand. No one knew that I had suffered 2 broken bones.
Wow.
So that's the healing ability that Spooky2 can provide. And I'm fortunate because I've got Spooky at home. Well, anyone can have Spooky at home. Anyone can.
Yeah.
It's a one-off purchase that they will be forever be grateful for the rest of their lives. They can go for the simple one or go for the more advanced units or the high power options. So, and another point too. So I'm the living proof. Look at me. I am really 100%. And it is without a word of a lie. It's 1 month ago when I had 2 broken ribs. And most people tell me, people for months, they got limited movement and they can't breathe. It hurts when they cough. Well, that was me on the first day.
Yeah.
On the second day, I was well on the road to recovery. And the third day, I looked as ugly as anything. But inside, I knew I was healing real fast. My body was doing its job because it was getting the energy, the frequency energy which it needed from Spooky. Because it's a moment of emergency. It's a crisis, right? So, yeah. But anyone can do this. Anyone can make a one-off purchase. It's like an investment, If you're taking medicines or any other supplement, you've got to keep on buying and then buying and buying. You don't need to. You can do it other ways as well.
I was not going to say anything because I didn't want to get in trouble with the
the
pharmacy.
We can edit that out.
But as soon as you said about that scalar stuff, putting frequency in the water, I thought,
well, this is the really incredible thing. You know how medicines have a nasty habit of being super expensive.
Yeah.
Well, you can buy one super expensive tablet and put it on the coil.
I know, that's what
and it doesn't get used up. All you're using is the information of the medicine, which is what your body's using.
That's right.
And because it doesn't leave the physical substance in your body, there's no side effects or toxins to remove as a result of that.
Wow.
So it's something which it's just all gains, no losses.
Wow.
It's like a no-brainer.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So
God.
I'm quietly hoping that more and more people discover us
Mhm.
or some other. It doesn't have to. It can be some other company, but I know that we're good. And then they buy something which will restore their health. That's called empowerment. All of a sudden, you don't have to go to the doctor, pay your $80 for your quarter hour of fame, to then get a piece of paper to tell you you've got to spend another $120 on this and that.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. And you can also nip problems in the bud. You know, when you're not feeling too well, you know something's coming, but you're not sure. But you know that if you go to a doctor, you're sure you're going to lose $80, and then you know, but you can do something to prevent it from going to that stage.
Yeah.
See? And I'm a great fan of prevention.
I am too. You know, we used to say at home, a stitch in time saves 9. And oh, true. Oh my gosh, why wait? Get right on it. People wait to collapse so they have an excuse to stay home for a few days. You know, just take care of yourself first. Stay home for a day and go.
Absolutely. Every disease starts small. And if you train, I guess you call it training, train yourself to listen to your body, just feel little twinges and make a mental note. And if it repeats, there could be something not nice happening.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so important. So let me ask you, do you have any like annual sales periods or coupons or anything like that?
Well, we do have sales, yeah. I'm not sure when the next sale is. Probably around Christmas time. We normally do something around Christmas, I think.
Okay.
So we get on the Christmas bandwagon.
I would.
But I do have to say our sales aren't like half price sales or things like this because our margins aren't that high anyway, you know.
No, don't cut yourself short. So,
no, but we do have a sale of sorts. But I think it's around Christmas. And Christmas is very close, actually.
Yeah, it is. We're almost to Halloween. Do you have Halloween in China?
Well, kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
My daughter's school is having a Halloween sports day. They're combining two, which will be fun. Okay. There'll be costumes flying everywhere. So they do in China, and in New Zealand they kind of do as well.
When my kids were very little, I said, "No, we're not doing Halloween. Why would we go out and collect all that candy so you can come home and eat it and then get the flu and throw up? And I have to clean it up. We're not doing Halloween." And so their grandparents were like, "Oh, you mean mother." But my kids rarely got the flu, and they didn't have all the other problems that kids had in terms of health. So, When
we went to New Zealand, we took our almost 4-year-old daughter with us, and her grandmother was pushing lollies onto her, and she looked at them. What is this? And then we bring her up old-fashioned, old school. And then she tried one. Not nice. Yeah, not nice. Doesn't like it. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my. Well, I think let's call it good for today. I don't have any other questions, but I want to say to everybody that's listening, if you have a car and you have a computer and you have a TV, those are not nearly as useful as a Spooky or some kind of frequency machine, because you use that frequency machine over and over and over and over, and you save yourself all kinds of pain, trouble, medical expenses, et cetera, et cetera. Consider investing in your household, getting some kind of frequency thing, and Spooky2 is very affordable. So, not that I want to get into selling. I'm a terrible salesman as well. But I think everybody should have a frequency machine that they can heal themselves with.
Yeah, absolutely. Empower yourself. You might be sitting, next time you're sitting in the doctor's waiting room and you're reading the magazine that is about gardening and your least favorite thing is gardening, and you're wasting your time and your pocket's going to get lighter. Just think to yourself, what can you do to prevent, to try and avoid coming here next time? Because investment in your health is the best investment you can have. It means that when you get old and grey, and we all get old and grey if we're lucky, you want to be energetic and old and grey.
There you go.
Not in a wheelchair, old and grey.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, able to do the jig.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Well, thank you, John. I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting me for this interview. It's been a pleasure.
If I get questions, we might say you got to come back and answer some questions.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're in wildly different time zones here, so thank you.
Thank you for staying up so late. It's it's quite late in the evening. You go and refill.
Yeah, well, thank you for getting up so early.
Oh, that's right. No problem. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.